Tonight, a hospice which might have to turn children away because it can't afford soaring energy bills. One parent tells us that would be devastating.
We don't know what life he's got, so we want to make every single moment count. And this is a huge part of doing that.
More misery for commuters as railway workers stage another strike with no sign of a settlement to come.
£4 for a pound, lovely avocado, £4 for a pound.
The market traders struggling with skyrocketing rent, plus...
If you wanna hear me sing, you better play that sax. Give it to me.
We speak to Fleur East live ahead of her one-night-only gig in the capital, and... Our Eurovision contestant from Kentish Town tells us how being a Londoner influences her music. Good evening. It's a place of respite for families, providing crucial end-of-life care for children and babies. But London and Surrey's Shooting Star Children's Hospices are coming under increasing pressure. From April, their energy bills are expected to grow so large that they may have to cut the number of beds available to dying children unless extra support is given. Helen Keenan reports.
Do you like hanging out with your dad here, Albie? No, I don't think that's true.
This is where Albie gets to be himself, free from judgment and surrounded by support.
You can just see how relaxed he is. This is a safe space. This is where he's happy. He's able to be him and his medical needs are met. The thing that keeps echoing in our heads is our safe space safe?
He has Costello syndrome, a very rare genetic mutation. It means he needs his blood sugar checking around 50 times a day.
That's a 5.4, which is a good sugar.
And receives his nutrients through this tube. In this week's budget, it was confirmed hospices would not be receiving more energy bill support than other businesses. His dad says that's hard not to take personally.
How did you feel when you heard that?
A polite word is frustration. It doesn't make sense to us. This isn't a luxury setting. Although we're treated like royalty and we're treated beautifully, it's when you're in your need. It's at a dark place. Unfortunately, you think of hospice and you think of palliative care. Yes, palliative care and support is a huge integral part, but day-to-day living, making memories is a huge, huge part of Albie's life.
Shooting Star Children's Hospice's annual energy bill is set to more than double, from £90,000 now to £230,000 by the end of September.
We're being classed in the same way as a pub or a restaurant, not as an energy-intensive organisation like a hospital. In fact, even a zoo or museum will get more support than a hospice would. But that extra funding is the equivalent of 3 nurses, which means that at least one of our respite nights, potentially, or respite beds, wouldn't be open each night, and that could be hundreds of respite nights lost each year.
And with all hospices feeling that financial pinch, it could mean they all have to reduce their levels of care.
They're facing bills and energy bills that are in some cases increasing by 5-fold. What we're hearing and seeing is that means there are some difficult decisions for hospices to make around the services they may be able to provide in the future and their sustainability over the longer term.
Albie needs round-the-clock care. It's a difficult balance to strike when also caring for his 2 other children.
Albie's got a condition that's life-shortening. We don't know what life he's got. So we want to make every single moment count. And this is a huge part of doing that. It's something we need. And to know that that's potentially lost or could be taken away is hugely detrimental.
Well, that was Albie's dad ending that report here. Helen is here. And Helen, you spent the day with the family, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And theirs is truly a heartbreaking story. It's just one of many, and they wanted us to put their point to the government. They've sent us a statement and they've said, we know this has been a difficult time for families and the organisations which support them, including hospices, and that's why we provided hospices and other non-domestic energy users with an unprecedented package of support over winter. The energy support we've pledged from April onwards reflects the fact that wholesale gas prices have almost halved since the current scheme was announced, and will mean a discount on high energy bills until March 2024. And while that may be the case, hospices say that's just not enough. That is not enough financial support for them. And it's the people who are in need the most that are going to be affected by this.
Oh dear. OK, thanks very much indeed, Helen. Well, we'll return to the cost of living crisis later in the programme. But first, there was more disruption on the tube this morning as services resumed after yesterday's walkout. Adding to this, the latest wave of strikes on trains above ground got underway, causing more headaches for commuters across the capital and leaving some stations once again eerily quiet. Antoine Allen has the story.
As fewer trains pulled away, travellers prepared for another day of strikes. But for most, today's railway strike action was inconvenient, but didn't bring London to a standstill. At East Croydon station, commuters were still coming and going.
It's a bit of a wait, but not too bad at all, really, for us.
How difficult was your journey?
Not that difficult so far, but I'll tell you when I get to the airport on time.
The rail network's limited service was mainly due to the RMT union instructing all of its members working for 14 train operators to strike. The dispute over pay, job security and working practices has been ongoing since last year. What's holding up those negotiations?
Well, the negotiations have resulted in a really poor offer. In terms of the wages that they're offering, it's way below the rate of inflation. A lot of people are experiencing that. And the conditions that they're putting on us in order to fund those offers, poor as they are just not acceptable to our people.
The rail delivery group say more RMT staff are coming into work, and the RMT should reconsider the deal other unions have already agreed to.
We're going to urge the RMT leadership to allow their members to vote on that exact same deal. That would bring an end to this. It would allow colleagues to have a fair pay rise, and it would allow some of the changes in the industry that we know we need.
The trains that were staffed and running were full of commuters. This is a packed train, but railway staff have said that this is no busier than normal after the pandemic and the many lockdowns after 2020. Londoners have become used to working from home, which is calling into question just how effective these strikes are. If less workers are striking and more commuters are not affected, Great Western Rail believe the end of the strikes is in sight.
But I think we're starting to see an end to this dispute. We've already had the TSSA have now reached a settlement with not only the train operators, but also Network Rail. And then we've got ASLEF, the train drivers union. We've really got to get the negotiations going with them to get an end to that dispute.
Yet each day that the strikes continue, it's the businesses that thrive on commuters that feel it in their pockets.
This strike make our business horrible. We should take care about these things. We need to sort it out. Government need to sort it out. This.
The burning question for travellers remains, when is the next strike happening? Well, on Saturday, the 18th, strike action continues. Antoine Allen, ITV News.
Turning now to a fire in central London. It broke out this afternoon at a flat on the 4th floor of a residential block near Bart's Hospital. Around 40 firefighters tackled the blaze and the cause is yet to be identified. One person was treated at the scene. Now back to the cost of living crisis, and market traders are at the sharp end as Londoners find themselves with less cash to spend. But it's the increasing cost of rent that's hitting them the hardest. At Woolworth's East Street Market, council charges have gone up by almost 30%, meaning some who've been there for generations have no option but to shut up shop. Daniel Henry's been speaking to traders and shoppers.
Now the market is empty. It's empty. Yes, it's the cost of living. It's the cost of everybody is bankrupt.
This is East Street Market.
Would you like anything else? Thank you.
Locals love it because
when you come, like I want to buy a yam here. When I come here, 2 for £5, but everywhere else 1 for £7. Oh yeah.
The traders love it too. But they say rising council costs just don't add up. Montserrat and her stall have stood here for 10 years. Whatever the weather, 5 to 6 days a week. But now?
I've been planning to reduce it to 3 days at the moment to see how it goes. But if it still doesn't work for me, I will leave it because it's a very, very big...
You would leave?
Yeah, I will leave, definitely. I will leave.
If the fees were lower and more incentive, then people come out and work.
Tina has been here for nearly 40 years. She says the impact of the proposed rises would change the market for good.
It will have a devastating impact because the likes of the big stores will have no competition. They can actually charge the consumers, even the community, whatever they like. There will be no competition. We actually create competition in the sense where when we did strike on last week, Tuesday on the 7th, customers on Wednesday were so happy to have us back because they can't afford to go to big stores. It's not about balancing the books all the time. You know, you have to find other ways to balance the books.
Lovely avocado, 4 for a pan.
Adam runs the fruit and veg stall.
So nearly £2,000 cost me monthly for the stall, and I'm working on the street.
He's determined to hang on for his family.
For myself, I don't have any choices. I have to renew it because I've got 2 daughters under 5 years old. So I have to renew it. So I don't have any other skill to do. I don't have any degree to do other job. So I have no choices because of my kids, my wife, so I have to renew it.
So that councils say, without an increase in market fees, they just couldn't cover the costs. They say traders only pay for the services they receive, and their fees are benchmarked against others in London. And despite the increase, Southwark say their charges are still competitive. But traders here say the empty stalls tell their own story. Daniel Henry, ITV News.
Heathrow's third runway was supposed to create thousands of jobs, boost the economy and keep the airport competitive. But more than 2 years after the £16 billion project was given the go-ahead, there's still no sign of any development. It's a relief to those living nearby who oppose the runway, but Heathrow insists it's conducting a review and will decide what's next by the end of the year. Our political correspondent Simon Harris has the latest.
Heathrow have been trying to get a third runway since the late 1940s. They haven't succeeded yet, and I don't see them succeeding this time round.
Justine Bailey is one of the stalwarts of the campaign to stop Heathrow's expansion. The village of Harmondsworth has been her home for 30 years. In that time, she's learnt to live with the airport on her doorstep.
You close the double glazing. In the summer, you know, you go out in the garden in the quieter periods, but it's always there. The trouble is with their expansion plans, they want to come a kilometre closer, which would mean putting on ear defenders when I open my front door.
It's more than 2 years since the Supreme Court gave Heathrow the green light to go ahead. The airport's official position is that the £16 billion development is under review. But backers, including businesses and unions, say the case for the third runway is as strong as ever.
It's a hub airport, it's a main hub airport, and to compete with the other hub airports in Europe, it needs to have a third runway. You know, the whole economy will benefit by that in London and the wider economy in the UK as well.
Over half of our trade now as a country by value comes through this airport. If we want to grow that, if we want to be a trading nation post-Brexit, we have to reach those new destinations. It's a great opportunity to create jobs, to create new apprenticeships as well.
Even with the third runway, the airport believes it can substantially cut carbon emissions thanks to so-called sustainable aviation fuel and the prospect of electric and hydrogen aircraft engines. It's an argument opponents don't buy.
This is not the sort of development that we need for our economy. We need a green industrial revolution, a Green New Deal where we're investing in alternative energy and we're moving people away from polluting forms of transport in this way.
For anti-third runway campaigners, the last few decades have been a rollercoaster ride of highs and lows, and it still hasn't ended.
And Simon will have more on that on tonight's edition of The Late Debate. He joins us now from Westminster. Simon.
Yes, Carolyn, on tonight's programme we'll discuss the pros and cons of a third runway with two MPs whose constituents live under the flight path, Labour's Seema Malhotra and Sarah Olney from the Lib Dems. We'll also be joined by Croydon MP and Home Office Minister Chris Philp. As well as airport expansion, we'll be talking about yesterday's budget and the ongoing tube and train strikes. And we'll be hearing from the real-life East Ender hoping for a senior government job if Labour wins the next election. That's Wes Streeting, the MP for Ilford North, currently Shadow Health Secretary. So join me for the Late Debate here on ITV1 after news at 10.
Thanks, Simon. Now, you'll know my guest tonight from a wide variety of TV shows, from The X Factor to I'm a Celebrity and last year's Strictly Come Dancing. Tonight, singer Fleur East is playing a one-off show at the Union Chapel in Islington. And I'm delighted to say she joins me now. Fleur, thanks so much for coming on. This is your first headline show in a while. Why have you chosen Islington?
Well, I'm home. I'm in London. It's very rare that I get to perform at home at a show where my family and my friends can just catch a bus to or just jump in a car and come and see me. So I had to do it here. I'm so excited.
Oh, that's brilliant. And you'll be playing your new music tonight. Let's have a listen to your new track, which is called Count the Ways. Here it is.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You had me at that first kiss. Should've let it go, but I made a list.
Loving that. Is that the kind of music you kind of listened to as you were growing up in Walthamstow, more of the 1970s vibe?
Oh yeah, my mum and my dad used to play their vinyl every day. We used to watch the music channels all day, and that was the good feel music, you know. It was like every single day in the house, and so my mum's going to really enjoy the music we'll be playing tonight.
Oh, that's brilliant. Now, you have been, you know, your career is so successful. It's been almost 2 decades now. For me, it feels like yesterday you were in the X Factor. How hard has it been to have such a long, a long career, to stay in the business?
Yeah, very hard. It's brutal. I'm almost like the cat with 15 lives at this point. I don't know how I'm still here, to be honest. But the fact that I get to still sing and perform and do what I love, that for me is the real success. And I just love to perform and I love music and it's my real joy. So I'm very excited to be able to still be in the game.
Absolutely. And you were incredible on Strictly Come Dancing as well. We can't forget that. Are you still going to be using some of the moves you learnt on that show?
Well, funnily enough, the Strictly lot are coming to watch my show tonight and my dance partner Vito is here backstage with me. So he's limbering up to maybe take part in the show tonight. But everyone will find out tonight. I've got a nice surprise planned for everyone.
That sounds good. I hope we haven't ruined the surprise now. But what is next for you? Because there isn't much that you haven't done now, is there?
No. So many strings to my bow. I'm going to keep doing all the things that I love, you know, more music, more presenting, more fitness, more performing, you know. I just want to just explore all of my passions. And while I've got the energy to do it, I'm just going to continue to do it.
That's awesome. And let's go back to I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, because that must have been an incredible experience as well. What is the thing you'll remember most about that?
Oh, I think for me, the friendships, because we still have our Jungle 11 WhatsApp group today. And I was just messaging Harry Redknapp like 2 days ago, or Hazar as I call him. And his granddaughter's come around my house. I mean, she comes to my shows. She should be coming tonight, hopefully, trains permitting. But yeah, just the friendships that we made. And I think because we had such a unique experience, no one else can understand that experience but us. And it's really special.
Oh, that's lovely. Oh, thanks very much. You'll be on stage very soon, I think. Thanks for making the time for us and have a great show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, it's been a busy night of football ahead as Arsenal and West Ham look to advance in Europe.
Zero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
Well, turning to North London first, and Arsenal host Sporting Lisbon in the second leg of the Europa League round of 16 at the Emirates tonight. On aggregate, the Premier League table toppers are drawing 2-2 with the Portuguese outfit. Mikel Arteta will hope that a draw or win tonight will put them one step closer to the final at the Puskás Arena in Budapest. Meanwhile, over in East London, West Ham host AEK Larnaca at the London Stadium in the Europa Conference League. The Hammers already hold a 2-goal advantage over the Cypriot side following a brace from striker Mikel Antonio during the first leg. Turning to tennis, and it was disappointment all round for the London Stars at Indian Wells. After a positive showing, Bromley's Emma Raducanu was knocked out by world number 1 Iga Swiatek in straight sets. Despite the disappointment, the 3 wins in the States is the furthest the 20-year-old has gone in a tournament since winning the US Open in 2021. And Jack Draper's tournament came to a frustrating end in California after he was forced to retire from his match with Carlos Alcaraz with a stomach muscle injury. The 21-year-old showed great signs during the tournament and will hope to build on this at the next event. Now, for most, the idea of completing the London Marathon is a big enough challenge on its own, but not enough for Tom Harrison, it seems, who's becoming known for finding new and inventive ways of doing it as he raises money for causes close to his heart. Kaf Okpata went to find out what he's planning next.
Why walk when you can crawl and in a gorilla suit? Well, that was Tom's answer to the London Marathon last year. Fast forward to today and he's ditched the gorilla and is back on his feet. Only this time he'll be looking backwards in order to move forward.
Now if you're wondering why we're walking backwards, that's because Tom right here is going to be doing the London Marathon, well, backwards. And Tom, I have to ask, why?
Firstly, it's going to make it harder for me. They reckon it's about 33% more effort to walk backwards, both for our brain and our muscles. And I'm doing this for Red Cross and Ukraine, which is why I have on the Ukrainian colours. I'm using the local cricket pitch as a bit of a guide for walking backwards, so I know where I am. During the race, I'll be using the curb to kind of keep me on track.
For Tom, this might seem like a walk in the park, but what do his forward walking friends think of him?
He surprised me, when he started walking backwards, and obviously explained why. But and I was worried about him, but actually he did okay. He's all right. Yeah.
And Hoggles, what do you think about Tom walking backwards? Do you think can you walk? Oh, can you walk backwards, Hoggles?
Well, it looks like not everyone agrees, but according to Tom, there is a logic to this apparent madness.
I like to look at things differently, and as I'm doing the race, I'll be looking backwards at what I've achieved. So I'll be able to celebrate. I've done 2 miles and I've done 3, 4, and see what I've covered. Whereas the people who are going forwards will have more of the worry of what's coming up, how far have I still got to go, which I won't have. So in some ways, perhaps the mad people are the ones who are running forwards.
Well, who am I to disagree with that? Kaf Okpata, ITV News, Amersham.
And hats off to Kaf. I've never quite seen anyone do an interview backwards like that before. Well, now here's weather time, and Sally has it for you.
Car, charger, and energy.
Hello, a very good evening to you. Hope you had a good day. The breeze at the moment is playing havoc with the hair, isn't it? Rosie knows all about that. But it has given us some lovely sunrises. Home Park looking just stunning there, and Twickenham too. Now, if you've stepped outside, you'll know that it is feeling just that bit milder. Fairly welcome, I think. But the weather's pretty unsettled with low pressure in charge. So at times we've got rain or showers, but also some sunny or brighter spells. If you have got plans, probably best keep an eye on the forecast. Right, here we go. Let's take a look at tonight. So we've got this front moving through. It's pretty erratic as it comes through, but there will be some rain or some showers on it at times. Clears off, though, for the second half of the night, leaving a residue behind it of some low clouds. So perhaps on the higher ground, there might be some hill fog first thing tomorrow morning and overnight. And it is going to be a bit murky and grey as we start the day. Not cold, though. Look at those temperatures. Some areas staying up into double figures. But if you look to the south, you can see what's lurking and heading our way. We've got a further spell of rain and showers moving in as we go through Friday morning. morning. Quite difficult to track exactly where it's going to go, but it does look like it'll affect the east the most for longest as well. But as we go through the day into the afternoon, you can see things drying up and brightening up from the west. So perhaps some sunshine in the afternoon. The odd shower, though, bubbling up here or there. It's going to be a bit breezy again tomorrow, but our temperatures milder still, so highs of 13 to 15 degrees. Now, if you've got plans for Friday night, just a warning that there are a few more showers moving in, so perhaps if you're heading out, maybe worth popping an umbrella in. And as we go into Saturday morning, there'll be a few residual showers around. It should brighten up. Again, watch out for a touch more rain at times, maybe in the afternoon. Just a precaution. Looks drier on Sunday and generally staying mild. I'll see you later on. Cheerio.
ITV London Weekday Weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles.
Well, before we go, our very own Eurovision contestant from Kentish Town has spoken about her pride in being a Londoner. May Muller, who'll represent the UK in Liverpool in May, says it's a big part of her identity on and off stage.
Especially for me, I mean, I've always lived in the UK. I was, born and raised in London, and it's such an important part of who I am and who I am as an artist. It's, in my music, I think you can really tell that I'm from London, so it's a really integral part of what makes me me. So then to be able to kind of represent that is really, really lovely.
Very well said. Well, we're back with the latest after ITV News at 10. Coming up, Charlene White has the ITV Evening News for you. But from me and the rest of the London team, goodbye.